Hello my tarot friends, Justin Michael, welcome back to my channel, and of course welcome if it's your first time visiting. I appreciate you stopping by as always. So I want to take a look at a deck that I just backed on Kickstarter. Well, I didn't just back it, I actually backed it quite a while ago, but I received it about 2 weeks ago. And ever since I got it, I've been itching to do a review of it, but I just haven't had the time. And so tonight finally I sat down to do this review. So the Twilight of the Gods, the Delphic Maxim, by a guy named J.S. Moore, who is a bit of an occultist, an occult researcher, an enthusiast of world mythology and culture. And I was familiar with him because I have his deck called the Catharsis Tarot, which was kind of like, it wasn't the most popular deck when it came out. In fact, I know a few people who didn't like it because of the aesthetic, which I'll show you. But I really like it. I think that it's a great bargain. So I didn't, it was also a Kickstarter, but I didn't back this. I actually bought it on eBay shortly after the Kickstarter campaign was over. It comes in this amazing box, very, very sturdy. And it comes with this book here, which is just a little bit of information. It's not like a whole lot, but it does give you a little bit of information, enough to get you going. I do know that there's a bigger book that's for sale. I should probably get that because I do have a lot of questions about this deck, which would be nice if I can get it answered, but about the majors in particular, which I'll show you in just a minute. But the quality of the paper is just really, really nice. It's that kind of matte finish, like very, very matte. But it's got like, a really kind of sturdy cardstock. It has a gilding, which I was happy about at the time. I kind of don't like gilding as much as I used to, just because everything's gilded now. And I think it's overkill. And some decks should be gilded, others shouldn't. It just happens to work well for this. The first thing that drew me in about this deck was the backs, which has the Green Man on it, and I really love the Green Man. I love mythology in general. In fact, you see me do a lot of historic tarot deck stuff on my channel, and the reason is because that's just what I'm into right now. I'm not really finding myself drawn to a lot of modern decks. The reason is because I've seen things done 1,000 times. I mean, like, how many times do I need a kind of drawn version of the Rider-Waite-Smith, But occasionally something comes out. I'd say more than occasionally, but not that much. Something comes out that offers something to me beyond just being pretty, and I felt that this was because I have to be a little bit kind of, more discerning about what I take in, just because I'm running out of space. But quality-wise, I think I paid $25 or $30 for this, and the quality is it's stellar for the price. I mean, it's really, really good. The one issue is, as you can see, some of the major arcana and some of the other cards are done in landscape. So that would be annoying for some people, and I already know, because some people have told me they just don't like it. It doesn't really bother me, particularly because with this deck I just know it's there. It's kind of like I take the good and bad with every deck, and this is just one I happen to, it's like if I want to use it, I'm going to draw just a few cards from it, and it doesn't really matter which way the cards come out. So it doesn't bother me. The one thing that did bother me a little bit was the major arcana. So this is the Fool, obviously, and it's very much like a Japanese image, image like Japanese art. At least it looks to me. But when you look in the book here, okay, so let me just show you a little bit about the book here. So the Catharsis Tarot, where you stumble and fall, there you will find gold. It's a Joseph Campbell quote. Okay, so here's the major arcana, and you have a picture of the Green Man, which is the card back. Now, you have little pictures of the majors, and you have the upright meaning, innocence, new beginnings, free spirit, reversed, recklessness, whatever. It's pretty standard kind of New Age meanings. And then the element, air, astrology, Uranus. So that's very much the Golden Dawn system. And but there's nothing about the image itself, like where the image comes from. And the whole thing is that he uses imagery from all over the world, from the mythologies, and it would have just been nice if I could know some things. All right, so that's the Fool. This is the Magician. That's obviously a very Merlin looking figure. And so that was also landscape, but now here we have a portrait kind of upright high priestess. So I don't know who that is. I mean, maybe it's the goddess. I really don't know, but it would be nice to be able to read. Some of them you can pick out. Like this looks very kind of Indian to me, but again, it would be nice to read about it. So. Oh. So we have the Emperor, the Hierophant. You can see, there's a real mix of culture in this deck. Okay, here we have the Lovers. But the art is really pretty. I mean, the colors look good. It's really attractive art, That kind of reminds me of the Mitelli Tarot a little bit. And so we have the Hermit, which again looks very Asian. Justice. And the Hangman. So he's teamed up with a guy named, so J.S. Moore did this deck with an artist named Jared Howcraft. He's the artist. The other deck I'm going to show you is done with still J.S. Moore, but a different artist. So it's a different collaboration, which I found interesting, But I really love the artwork in the majors, in this deck. I also love the Minor Arcana, which I'm going to show you in about 2 seconds. So it's very Egyptian. Okay. The Sun. Judgment. And the World. Okay. So it's, very beautiful image. Okay, so now we have the Ace of Spears, which is basically the Ace of Wands. And it represents, so each of the elemental suits correspond with a particular culture. So this is Norse mythology. So we have the Ace of Spears, also the Aesir's, I believe, is what it's called. And you have, Thor's hammer on there. And then you have the Two of Spears. But the images are actually very Rider-Waite-Smith. So the 3, 4, very, very Rider-Waite-Smith. They all have the same border, but there's a different image in the middle. And so I've had some friends of mine complain about that. I actually particularly like the design. I think it's very clever how they did it. And so I kind of like it, just something different, Okay, there's the 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so now with the Princess, we have, I believe, let's see, this is, Freya. This is Freya. This is Thor. Frigga. And the Allfather, Odin. So, those are the court cards. So, Princess, Prince, Queen, King. Okay, so now we have, this is more Greek, the Ace of Cups. And corresponds with Greek culture, so you have 2 cups. It's very Rider-Waite-Smith in a lot of ways, and you'll see some familiar characters in here that are easy, you don't need the book for, like, Medusa, obviously. That's maybe Pan, or looks like Pan to me. 4 of Cups. 5, which is interesting is you have 2 cups spilled and 3 cups standing up in this 5 of Cups, which I found, isn't it usually 3 cups? Yeah, 3 cups spilled, 2 cups standing. So this is like, it kind of changes a little bit, It's not, the loss is not as significant, I guess, as the 3 cups. So you have 6 of Cups, 7, 8, 9. Again, very Rider-Waite-Smith in a lot of ways, and you have the same border for all of the theme. Different for each suit, though. So each suit has its own kind of border that corresponds to the culture. This is more Greek. Okay, so the Princess of Cups, I believe, is Artemis. I think. Don't get me wrong. This would be Apollo. The Queen is Hera. And the King, of course, is Zeus. It's really cool. It's a cool deck. Okay, so now this suit here is, it corresponds with a culture called the Tuatha, which is Celtic, and some people might be familiar with the Tuatha. I, of course, wasn't until I came across this deck, and I was sort of forced to research them. But the Tuatha is a mythological race that existed in Ireland before the Celts invaded, and there's some literature based on it, you know, that talk about the Celts invading and so forth. I forget the name of the book, but there's quite a few. But it's basically a mythological race of people, but it's based on real history. From as far as I can tell, I'm not an expert. I mean, people debate on whether the Celts ever invaded Ireland at all, or if they were always there. I mean, there's all kinds of theories. But the Tuatha said that when the Celts invaded, it drove them underground, and they became the Shay, you know. And so then they had to split the earth. So that's really cool. I love the harp. It's very Irish. And of course it has its own border. Very Rider-Waite-Smith. As you can see, the Three of Swords is great in this. I love that Three of Swords. I think it's so pretty. I love the way the heart looks. It's a real heart as opposed to, you know, cartoonish heart. Love the Four of Swords, you know, depicted as a cemetery. 5, you know. Sometimes the images are very Rider-Waite-Smith, and sometimes they're like, you know, you have to kind of look a little bit and figure it out, but it's usually there, you know. 9 of Swords, very much so. And 10, this looks like pen art, you know, it looks like notebook art to me in a lot of ways. I really like that a lot. Okay, so now we have, oh, I forget her name, I'm not going to look, I better look it up. I mean, if I don't, I'll beat myself up. Okay. Princess Morgan, right. And then we have Nuada as the prince. The queen is, of course, Bridget, the triple goddess. And then we have Dagda, which is the King of Swords. And so the last suit of pips is the Ace of, the coins, which are also scarabs. It's an Egyptian theme, as you can see the Ankh there. You know, again, the same kind of thing with the border. Lots of scarabs in there. It's really cool artwork. I really like it a lot. Okay. Okay, so the princess is, who is it? Hathor, or Hathor. And then we have Horus is the prince. Isis, of course, is the queen. And Amun-Ra is the king. Okay, so now we've completed all the traditional tarot cards, but as a bonus, they kind of give you an extra set of. They're basically like non-standard trumps. You know what I mean? They're so you have their archetypes: the wasteland, the visitor, the victim. It just says for clarifiers and so forth. It's very kind of. I mean, it's like an oracle that comes with the deck. Like I said, I mean, it was a really good value. You know. I was very happy with it. Primeval Forest, the Portal, Messenger, you know, and some of these are kind of, some of them go every which way, you know, but I don't mind that so much. I mean, I just work around it. Every deck has pros and cons, and that's just like one thing that, of course, I would prefer if all the cards went the same way, but then it kind of has a certain charm to it too, and then it's different, you know. And I like things that are different generally. For me, this is something I occasionally pull out to like pull 1 or 2 cards, but I haven't really worked with it like hardcore because I lack a book. I need a book for this because I want to know more about the images. But I've already learned so much with this anyway, you know, and it was worth the purchase. Okay, so now This is the more recent Kickstarter, Twilight of the Gods. And like I said, I'm a sucker for these kind of mythology decks. You know, I love Greek mythology. I love, and I like that they did it sort of cross-culturally, you know. And a different artist with this deck, so a totally different art style. Really nice box, though. Very sturdy, and just a really cool design. Nice and, like I said, sturdy. The cardstock is so different in this. It's a linen cardstock, and the gilding is, you know, it's much more kind of synthetic gilding. It's not, it doesn't feel like real gilding, but in the same sense, I like it in that it doesn't feel like it's going to fall apart on me. You know, you can throw these around and not have to worry about it. But I mean, just look how thick that is. Now, keep in mind, it's thicker than the traditional tarot deck. You know, it's got an extra 20-something cards on there, so, you know, it's pretty standard. It just feels so thick, you know, but it is because of the extra cards. And these are the backs, same as the design over here, which, you know, just looks like Medusa or something on there. And it comes with a book, of course. So let's take a look at the cards. I really like this art style. The artist with this, so like I said, Howcraft and Moore were the Catharsis. This one, J.S. Moore is working with M.S. Edwards and Janka Latkova. I guess that's pronounced Latkova. And so there are 3 people involved in this deck. It's a bit of a collaboration, you know. Let's go through the book first, because in the book it talks about, you know, the Oracle of Delphi, which was mentioned in the other deck as well. But it talks about the maxims, the Greek maxims that were, you know, when you went into the Oracle of Delphi, the temple there had 3 maxims written on there. But there are like hundreds of, about, I think 147 or something maxims that we know about. This is not my strong suit. I don't know a whole lot about it, but the only reason I bring it up is because each of the 22 major arcana corresponds with the maxim. So J.S. Moore sees the maxims and the majors, the story in the major arcana, as one and the same. He thinks that they tell the same story, and so he's lined them up with the maxims. And so I'll point that out to you. So for instance, instead of the Fool, we have the Simpleton, and it's maxim 142. Do not put your trust in chance. So these are not rules so much. He explains that rules are not the right way to look at it. It's more or less a guideline to live by, because the Greeks understood that you couldn't always obey by the rules. Sometimes you're going to have to break them, but you should strive to live by them, you know. And so that's kind of cool, you know. The Simpleton, purity, thoughtlessness, innocence, lightheartedness, naivety. And like I said, maximum 142, do not put your trust in chance. Okay, and then we have the Magician, otherwise known as the Alchemist in this deck. Maxim 6, know by learning. The Magician has all the tools necessary, yet is still a student. So, you know, I mean, it doesn't fit exactly with my understanding of him, because to me, the Magician's a master of his craft. But, you know, that's my personal interpretation. But it's an interesting way to kind of look at it from another perspective. The Hastiel version is the High Priestess. So we have Estea. And the High Priestess is chaste and charged with keeping the flame lit at the various temples of the gods, honoring the hearth associated with one of the original 12 Olympian deities. Hestia is known for her veil of chastity and for bearing witness to many important events. Okay, this goes with Maxim 13, honor the hearth. And it's about wisdom, higher power, creativity, mystery. Okay, and so Her Majesty is the Empress, and represents the earth and the maternal elements, ruled by Venus. Okay, it's a very kind of Golden Dawn. Maxim 37, look after your own, is the you know, the maxims associated here. So you get the idea. It's very, and there are a lot of stuff about Greeks in here. So we have the Sovereign, the Emperor, father figure, success, security, authoritative figure. Maxim 30, exercise nobility of character. Okay, so this is, you know, going with the Greek kind of philosophy. But it's not all Greeks, because now we have like a very kind of Mesoamerican or Native American looking figure. So the Hierophant is represented by the medicine man, and often woman, masters of the wildwood wisdom of the Native American. They are the leaders of ritual dance, celebrations, sacrifices, and pleas to the Great Spirit. Maxim 49, choose what is holy. So, of course, very interesting. Paramours is the lovers. Although most cartomancers are familiar with the weight version of the lover's card, with the proverbial Adam and Eve trumpeting angel symbology, older tarot decks depict this card with a different triad: a man, a youthful blonde woman, and an older brunette woman. This version's interpretation is less about romance and finding your soulmate, and more about choice, either between two parameters or between two life paths. So that's pretty interesting. Even though I feel like this has more in common with the Rider-Waite-Smith card than the Marseille or whatever. Well, anyway. Okay, so the Chariot or the Driver. Maxim 92, complete the race without shrinking back. So we have King Triton, the son of the sea god, Poseidon. Okay, so with strength, strength or fortitude, power, energy, inner strength, Maxim 89, do not depend on strength is the Maxim. So you get the idea. So I'm just going to go through these. The Wayfarer is the Hermit. We have Synchronicity as the Wheel, which I think is a really cool way to look at the wheel. Let's just take a look and see what that says. Know your opportunity is the Maxim, number 10. So we have Justice. Be ruled by justice, Maxim 5. We have Odin hanging by a tree here in 12, which is the Martyr. And so let's see. The Hangman here is Woden, or Odin, the All-Father of the Norse pantheon. One of the more famous tales of Odin was when he sacrificed his life to save his people from Jotun's formidable giants who were winning the war for pantheon supremacy. Odin did this by plucking out his eye, hanging himself upside down upon the world tree, Yggdrasil, and allowing himself to be stabbed by a spear. 3 conditions necessary for him to find the wisdom to defeat his enemies. So that's kind of interesting about the stabbing of the spear, because that sort of makes me think of Christ. These are archetypes and they always ring true. Okay. So we have Temperance here, which is, we have Death. Sorry, I'm just getting ahead of myself. I want to skip Death. Do as well as your mortal status permits is the Maxim. And Temperance, nothing in excess, which makes complete sense. Maxim 14 with the Devil, control yourself. The Tower, honor divine providence. So the concept of the Tower transcends myth and religion, from Rapunzel trapped in one to people of Babel building one to Tolkien inconstancy is wizards in one. Towers have represented citadels of security and strength. Ensconcing is the word. I don't know that word. Okay, and so as you can see, but they're also traditional tarot cards as well. So they have this meaning layered on it, but you still see the star, and that's a very traditional star. You have the beacon, and it's something about worshiping the gods. Maxim 3. Luminescence is the moon. Effervescence. And in Judgment, you have the scales, which is interesting, which makes me think of justice. And judge in a just way is Judgment. And we have the World, which in Greek myth, Gaia represents the maternal creator of all life. She is traditionally pictured on the World card because she is the personification of Earth and completion. The Ouroboros, or World Serpent, Jormungandr, I can't pronounce that word, but there it is, if you can see it. represents the world for this deck because it's both a creator and a destroyer. Anyway, Maxim 107, Pursue Harmony. So very, very cool. And the Minor Arcana. So now we have the Ace of Cups. Just something about the Aesir in here. The second Norse Pantheon. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So yeah, well, it's starting with the Ace of Cups, but I'm not going to go through every one, but you can see. The book would come in handy, obviously. And it does look very Rider-Waite-Smith to me. I mean, especially this one. You know, I mean, that's very Rider-Waite-Smith. But it's very indie looking, this deck. It's very kind of unique, and I like it. I quite like it a lot. So anyway, we're going to go through the rest of these pretty quickly. But very, very pretty. Queen of Cups, King. Okay, Pentacles look great. I love that yellow and the Pentacles. The yellow and the blue contrast is very, very pretty. Also very Rider-Waite-Smith again. 6 of Pentacles, 7, 8. Look at the 9 of Pentacles. I mean, does it get any more Rider-Waite-Smith than that? Okay. And we have a lot of Egyptian stuff in here. And here's the Ace of Swords. Again, the Two of Dodon. Very similar to the other deck. I mean, it's almost... It reminds me exactly of the other deck. Wow, I love that. Look at that. That's beautiful. I love that. It's very Celtic. Love that emerald green. 5 of Swords, 6. Yeah, I mean, these are very, very similar. It's almost the same system as the other one. I mean, what I mean is it's the Rider-Waite-Smith system basically, but what I'm saying is it's the system of court cards. I mean, it seems like are the same, but I don't know if they are or not. I don't know if that's Dagda or Cernonos. I don't know, but it'd be interesting to find that out. Ace of Wands. Oh, okay, so this one's Norse, the Wands, so it's not, and the other one I think it was Egyptian. No, maybe not. No, Wands was Norse. I'm sorry. I'm confused. Yeah, Odin is the king. Okay, so now, oh, you have the same exact... Oh, okay, I see what they did here. It's basically the same deck, but just different art. Now you have the extra cards here, which act as you know, significators or clarifiers or whatever. You know, basically an oracle deck. The Sacred Grove, Equinox, Solstice, a couple of different characters here. The Portal was one that was in there. The Labyrinth, the Wasteland was also in there. That's very interesting. Very cool. The Quest, Golden Fleece, the Trojan Horse. Very beautiful card, the Horizon. Wow. I mean, that's so beautiful. Love that. Very pretty deck. The Underground. So I'm glad I got this. It's different. Just add something a little unique to my collection. And of course, I love the opportunity to work with learning the, you know, deities of world culture and stuff. You know, it's something that I'm becoming more familiar with, but I feel like there's a lot of mythology in tarot, and learning mythology through tarot is fun. I mean, there's so many different angles you can take with tarot, you know. That's why I never get bored of it, because there's always some direction, some new direction to go in with tarot, you know. Like, you can go down the history road and learn the history. You can learn mythology. You can learn the occult stuff, the occult meanings. And so, I mean, there's just, it's endless, you know. And so it's just something I'll be into for the rest of my life for that very reason. I mean, because the possibilities are just endless. But anyway, I appreciate you guys tuning in with me. Sorry if that was longer than my usual walkthrough, but, you know, 2 decks. And leave your comments below if you want. You know, I'll be interested to hear from you. And I guess that's it. Until next time, everybody. Love and peace. Take care. Bye-bye.